Welcome back to my crib.
Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here or you stumbled across this video, hi, hello, my name is Jenny. I am 23 years old. I am married to my high school sweetheart Jacob, who is also 23 years old. And we have one daughter named Ivana, and she is almost 3.5 years old. She is also napping. She fell asleep on the couch today, so I'm hoping I have enough time. I'm also hoping that I'm not talking too quiet because she is napping directly underneath me. I'm upstairs, she is downstairs. In this video, we are going to be throwing it all the way back to September of 2016 when I delivered my baby girl via C-section. I'm not going to talk too much about the birthing process because I don't exactly remember much of it. It has been almost 3.5 years. So the details are a little bit foggy, but I will touch base on a couple things of it. In this video, I want to share my story. I want to share my C-section story and how it changed my life. And I also kind of want to help another mama out there who had a C-section or is going through a C-section and their mentality just isn't where they'd like it to be. I'll get into that a little bit later, but first I do want to say, if you gave birth vaginally, if you gave birth through C-section, if you had medicated, unmedicated, if you're a foster mom, an adoptive mom, a stepmom, a dad mom, however way, shape, or form that you are a mother, wear your title with pride. You are a mother. You are doing an amazing job at raising those tiny little human beings that are depending on you. And as long as you're not hurting your child, you're doing amazing. Parenting is hard. Motherhood is hard. Fatherhood is hard. We are all parents here. We all should wear our titles with pride because we are doing an amazing job raising our children. And I just wanted to let you guys know before we start this video that if you are a parent out there, then great job. We are so proud of you. Days do get hard, but they're all so worth it. I just wanted to throw that little side note out there because I know that it can be so tough to be a parent in any shape, way, or form. Parenting is hard. It's hard to begin with. No one talks about how hard it is, but it's hard. And I get that. I see you. You're doing a great job. I'm proud of you. All right, let's get into this video. So a little bit about me and my husband. We ended up getting pregnant with our daughter when we were 19 years old. We conceived her in December of 2015, and her original due date was supposed to be August 26th of 2016, but she ended up coming about 5 days late, 5 or 6 days late, so she was almost a week overdue. And like I said earlier, I'm not really going to talk too much about like my birthing and my laboring process because I don't really remember much of it. It has been 3.5 years. I do, however, remember that I was in labor for probably like 38 hours. We had one failed induction with her, and then like later that day or later that night, my water broke on the toilet and we had her 24 hours later. Now, I did try to give birth to my daughter vaginally. I did try to have her unmedicated and as natural as I possibly could, mostly because my mom had my little sister natural and unmedicated, and they got to the hospital literally a couple hours later. They had my sister. And I wanted to be like my mom. I wanted to kind of have that extra bond with my mom. Now, my mom and I are super close. We were like two peas in a pod. But I wanted to kind of be like her and have an extra bond with her. And I did end up pushing, I think it was for like 2 hours. And then that's when we realized like it's not happening this way. My body went from a 10 down to a 7, I believe. Everything was kind of shrinking back because she was so lodged into my pelvis that it just wasn't going to happen. So then that is the start of my C-section stories. No one forced me to sign the surgical consent paper that you're told to sign. No one physically shoved it in my face and said, you need to sign this now. No one made me do it. The hospital staff was amazing. The nurses were amazing. The doctors were amazing. Like, everything was amazing. No one forced me to sign this paper, but I knew that it was crunch time. There was no possible way for me to have my daughter the way that I wanted to have her. And although I didn't want to have a C-section, like that was the one thing that I tried to avoid, I knew it had to happen. When I finally did sign that paper, they ended up calling the, is it called an OB, the one that does your surgery? I'm not entirely sure, but they ended up calling like the surgeon. I'm pretty sure it's the OB. But they ended up calling the surgeon and he was on his way, and honestly the second that I signed that paper, it was crunch time. Everyone had to get taken out. Like, we had to say our goodbyes. Everyone had to get taken out of the room. I was trying to be strong for my mother because my mother was terrified. I was trying to be strong for my mother-in-law because although she already went through a C-section with Jacob, my husband, she still knew exactly what I was thinking. So she's trying to calm me down, but I could also tell that she was pretty nervous. And I had to be strong for my husband. My husband was a wreck. He was scared. He was terrified. He was vomiting everywhere. And I had to be strong for him. I had to be strong for all of those people. Although I was terrified myself, I knew that this wasn't gonna get easier if we were all terrified. Once they got everyone out of the room, I got prepped. I had everything done. They allowed me to wear my glasses because I am super blind. I cannot see without my glasses or my contacts. I was getting wheeled out of the room. I looked at my mom and I said, it's gonna be okay, as she was crying. I looked at my mother-in-law, I said, I'm gonna be fine. I looked at my husband and I said, I will see you soon. And like I said, he was scared. He called up his 2 friends to come kind of give him support, and they came right away. They were there super quick. But then once I got into the operating room, backtracking a little bit, my C-section was my first operation. I've never broken a bone. I've never had stitches. I've never had a surgery. That was my first time ever in an operating room. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I would see or what I would hear or what I would smell or anything. So I was going in it completely blindsided. I didn't educate myself at all when I was pregnant because I was trying so hard to avoid the fact that there was a great chance I was going to end up in a C-section. I knew from the beginning that I was more than likely going to end up in a C-section. Everyone around me knew because I am 4'11" and 120 pounds on a good day. So they knew that there was a great chance that I would not deliver my child naturally. Getting wheeled into the OR, I didn't realize how cold the room was gonna be because it was freezing, and the smell in there, it smelled like nothing, but it also smelled like a clean nothing, like a sterile nothing. I don't know how to describe the smell of the operating room. It didn't smell good, but it's not like it smelled like anything. Does that make any sense? I don't think it makes any sense. After they wheeled me in and they got everything prepped, my husband was finally able to come in. My husband didn't try to show that he was terrified, but that man is so bad at hiding his feelings. And then the surgeon kept wiping like a wet wipe or a sponge or something across my stomach, and he's like, okay, tell me if you feel that. And every time he did that, I think he did that 3 times. Every single time he did that, I said, yes, I feel that. Give me some more medicine. So I don't exactly remember how long I was laying there or anything, but once they finally got through, I had my surgeon down by my incision, and then I had my midwife up by my chest. And my midwife was there to give me support and also assist with the delivery. Because I'm so small, I'm petite in every way, my daughter got so lodged into my pelvis that my surgeon had to like shove her back up to my ribs, and then my midwife had to shove her back down. And I think they did that probably like 2 or 3 times. And you guys, that was the worst pain out of everything. My recovery was a breeze compared to that pain of them like teeter-tottering on my stomach just to get her dislodged. And it worked, but it hurt so bad. I remember I vomited 3 times during that because the pressure of that feeling is insanely painful. I don't ever want to go through that again. Like, that scares me thinking about it with my next and future kids, is I don't want that to happen again. But then once they did finally manage to get her out, she was born, and she was born kind of looking around the room a little bit before she cried. Now, I was panicking because she wasn't crying right away. I was like, what's wrong with her? Is she okay? Why isn't she crying? And then she finally cried, and then I cried, and then I saw my husband cry. Even though he doesn't like to cry in front of me, I know that I saw him cry. But then there they announced, you know, it's a girl, and then they weighed her. And you guys, my daughter, again, mind you, back then, 9 months pregnant, I was 4'11", 123 pounds, 40 weeks pregnant. My daughter weighed 8 pounds, 13 ounces, and she was 20 inches long. She's a huge baby. She was a huge baby. But yeah, once they weighed her, they put her up on my chest, and we ended up getting a picture with myself, her, and my husband, and then they wheeled her in the little like hospital bassinet crib thing that they have. They wheeled her out and my husband stayed with her the entire time, and I'm so grateful for that. He knew that my biggest fear was something happening to my newborn, so he went with her everywhere. He went with her to get her hearing test, to get her whatever they have to do after birth. Like, he was there the entire time. Now, after they left, I passed out twice. I don't remember anything after they left. I remember waking up still in the OR and then falling back asleep, and that's it. The next thing I know is that I'm kind of like getting woken up and they're like, hi, like, it's done, you're gonna go into recovery now. And I went in for my C-section probably around like 11:20 p.m. She was born 11:41 p.m. I didn't get back into the recovery room until about 1:30 in the morning, closer to 2. And there was a couple complications during my C-section. I did have to have 2 blood transfusions. There was something else. I'm not entirely sure what was happening down in my uterine area, but they were having troubles doing something. Now, recovery with a C-section, you're normally in there for an extra day or 2 than with the natural vaginal birth. We were there for a total of 5 days. And that was mostly because of the fact that I was on the verge of getting a uterine infection. So they kept us there a full 5 days. We went in on a Friday, we came out on a Wednesday. After we got discharged, we ended up staying at my mom's house for a full week. Now, we only planned to stay there for like 2 or 3 days tops, but that was also before the fact that we kind of knew we had to have a C-section. My little sister at the time was 4 years old when I gave birth and when we stayed at her house after my surgery. And a 4-year-old's way of making people feel better is making them laugh. She would do everything that she could to make me laugh, and of course it's adorable. She was 4, like, it was just an innocent kid thing, so I would laugh, but every time I laughed, I felt like I was gonna pop my stitches, that my incision was gonna just burst wide open and my insides were just gonna spill everywhere. You guys, laughing, sneezing, coughing, yawning hurt so bad after my C-section, and it's a normal thing. You have a cut in your stomach, your ab muscles are kind of stretched apart, but it hurt. Honestly though, I would take the pain of laughing and coughing and sneezing versus the pain of having my doctors jump on my ribs to get my child dislodged. Like, nothing compares to that feeling. Fast forward a little bit to my 6-week post-op. I think it was about 2.5 to 3 weeks postpartum. I was able to do things on my own. I was able to clean and to bend and to squat. Although I wouldn't push myself, I was still able to be more independent and kind of get back into my daily routine. At my 6-week post-op, my doctor said everything looked good. I was healing properly. My 6-week post-op appointment was with my surgeon, and it was the first time I had an appointment with him and the first time I saw him outside of my surgery. Granted, he knew absolutely nothing about, you know, my past besides whatever was in my medical records. During my appointment, after he cleared me for everything and started doing light duty workouts and whatever, he looked at me and he said, "What's on your mind?" And I looked at him kind of like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "What is bothering you?" He kind of allowed me to vent to him a little bit. That is when I asked him what the probability of me having more children was, and what the probability of me having a VBAC, which is a vaginal birth after cesarean, would be. And he told me I could probably have 2 more C-sections for a total of 3 kids, but safely he thinks that I can only really have 1 more pregnancy. That's still risky because of the way that my body is, but it wouldn't be as high risk as my 3rd pregnancy. And then for the VBAC question, he told me I would more than likely not be a great candidate for a VBAC because I would be at a greater risk for a uterine rupture, what's it called, placenta brevia, and just a lot, you know, worse things. My goal while giving birth to my daughter was I wanted a unmedicated birth, which I did not get. I wanted a natural vaginal birth, which I did not get. And then after I had my C-section, I wanted to try for a VBAC with my next pregnancies, which I cannot do. There's a car.
A few moments later.
he knew that there was more to the reason why I asked about that. So then that's when I finally told him, for as long as I can remember, I have always wanted to be a surrogate mom. The chances of me being a surrogate candidate would not be good, which I agree with him. It was hard to hear because growing up, like ever since I was 13 or 14, I have always wanted to be a surrogate mother. And I guess the number one mistake that I have made during my whole C-section process was I was so unwilling to accept the fact that my perfect birth plan was not going as planned. Of course, when you go to give birth to your child, you really can't plan something. You can have a general idea of what you want, but you also have to accept the fact that the stuff that you want probably will not happen. Giving birth is something that's really not in your control. It's in the control of greater hands. I'm thankful for the way that my C-section went. I am thankful that I got to deliver my child the best way that I could. I'm thankful I had the chance to labor and to push and kind of get that feeling and kind of experience that feeling is what I'm trying to say. I'm thankful my daughter was born healthy and that she was crying and she was born safe. I'm thankful that I ended up being safe even though times got hard. I'm thankful that my mental clarity is now here because back then I was not in a great mental spot. I felt like a failure. I felt like I failed everyone. And you guys, that is the worst thing I could have ever done. I'm not a failure. I'm a mother. I sacrificed my body for my child. I'm not a failure. I'm a warrior. And if you guys out there, if you had a baby through C-section, if you had a baby vaginal, if you adopted a baby, if you are fostering a baby, if you're a parent, you're amazing no matter what way you became a parent. I guess I can show you guys my scar. I don't know how pretty it is, to be completely honest with you. I will say that my doctor did make the standard sized cut, but because my child was so huge, he, without knowing how giant my child was, when he got her head out, she ended up ripping my incision up a little bit more. So it's not the cleanest or the straightest. It does kind of like curve up, or maybe it curves down. I don't know. It curves a little bit from where her shoulder did tear it up. But okay, I guess I will show you my scar now. Can you guys see that? One more quick thing I wanted to add in here before I head out is if you stumbled across this video, if you are currently expecting and you happen to search up C-section stuff on YouTube and my video happened to come up and you're scared and you're nervous and you're worried, I just want to say it's gonna be okay. I know it's something so scary. I know it's something so nerve-wracking and so terrifying, and you will be okay. The best possible way that you can go into it is having a clear mentality. And that is going to be all for today's video, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, I would love it if you subscribe and hung out with us. We post videos Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So that's 4 videos a week. And yeah, we would love it if you guys joined our family. Oh, have a great weekend, by the way. You're going to be watching this on a Friday. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you guys on Monday. Bye!